My name is Diane and this is How to Train Your Caterpillar, a spiritual life coaching channel. You're very welcome here. Thank you for checking out the video. I appreciate it a lot. This video is going to be about how to be alone because someone asked me to do it, so I'm doing it. I feel like the question was more directed at like how to be okay with being alone romantically, but I'm going to make it a bit wider. Because you know, a lot of people on the spiritual journey, they kind of end up in these periods of like aloneness, right, for however long. It's kind of like the shaman's journey, right? The shaman is like often, well not often, but I believe all the time the shaman is like kind of required to go off into the wilderness and live by themselves for a period of years because they're supposed to make that contact with spirit, right? And that's kind of what you're doing, because if you found this video, it's very likely you're on the spiritual path, because it's kind of a woo-woo video, right? There's a lot of stigma in society about spending time alone and being alone, because the thing is, most people don't want to be alone, because when they do, it means they have to think and they have to do self-reflection, right? So most people will avoid that at any cost, and that's basically what shadow work is, right? When you're at that point when you're starting to be like, there's these weird aspects of myself that I don't like. Like I'm starting to remember things from the past that I don't like, or like I'm starting to see this person for what they are, and maybe I'm starting to realize that this relationship is not going that well. What can I do? I'll buy some shoes and I'll drink and I'll plan a party and I'll redecorate the house and all this stuff. Anything to stop me from thinking. That's generally why people fear being alone, right? Because you don't want to be trapped with your thoughts. But the thing is, on the spiritual journey, it's often necessary for you to have a period alone, like the shaman's journey, so that you can get in touch with spirit. You can start listening to your intuition. And it's really the time, like when you're alone, is the time that when the ego starts to fall away, and you're doing your shadow work. If you want to know what shadow work is, I've done a separate video on that. But this time that you're spending alone is kind of to do your shadow work, so that you can find the true self and you can be happy, right? So maybe before, because think of it as being in the chrysalis, right? Before you were the caterpillar and you were in these toxic relationships and you were maybe chasing people that weren't good for you, or you were dating the wrong kind of men or women. You had like a toxic group of friends, or you had like friends that you didn't really connect with or something, right? Something like that. But when you sort of get into the chrysalis, it's necessary for you to sort of leave that stuff behind, or leave a lot of it behind, so you can become the butterfly. So think of it as being in the chrysalis, right? Now, there's no point in comparing yourself to people that are not going through the spiritual journey, because most people won't, or a lot of people won't, because they're younger souls. Their lessons are less than yours. They have much easier lessons, like children, right? They're not gonna, you can't expect a child to learn the same lessons as an adult. It's just not gonna happen, because they need the base. They need to get their basic lessons right first. Whereas you're probably an older soul, so you've been here before, you have more advanced lessons, right? So there's really, because I think a lot of the thing about being alone is that you start to compare yourself to other people, right? It's like, oh, but she's in a relationship and they've got 2 kids, and like I'm so far behind this person, and I have to go to this party by myself, and people think I'm weird. So like I said, these are the people that are on a different journey. Like, you can't compare yourself to these people, because these are kind of the younger souls, right? That's why they don't really understand you. Because the thought, to most people, like I said, the thought of being alone is like terrifying, because you have to sit and think, right? And then you start to be like, oh, I don't really like myself. I don't really like the way that I act. Somebody give me a glass of wine. Somebody get me the internet so I can shoe shop. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but to excess, there kind of is. If you're using that as something to block out a reality, your life that you don't like, then it's a problem, right? And don't forget, a lot of these people are not as happy as they're making out to be. Like you'll find out that they're having affairs, or like, they actually secretly hate their husband, and like the children are a nightmare and the house is falling apart and all this stuff. So, because you know, a lot of it I think is like when you surrender these comparisons to other people, you can deal with being alone a lot better, because you're like, you know what, I don't care. And once you can accept that that's not your journey and you're on a different journey, you'll be a lot happier. Because the thing is, you're probably supposed to be a teacher in some way, because you're supposed to go through this chrysalis period and emerge as the butterfly, so that you can then raise the vibration of the planet. And you know, that's going to trickle down to other people, right? It's gonna, because that's the whole point of what's going on at the moment. You know, the planet is currently the planet has ascended to 4D or 5D, but the human race is kind of a bit stuck, right? Or we were anyway. I'm not sure what's going on now, but like kind of stuck in 3D. And the whole thing is like, Earth is not ascending and it's holding back basically the rest of the universe. So it's like a kind of universal thing to try and get Earth, the vibration raised. So that's why a lot of like older souls that have kind of already ascended are choosing to come back and help now, right? But some of you, you know, you may have got caught in the karmic loop, right? Which is another reason that you're here. But yeah, like this period of being alone is so you can make contact with spirit and find yourself, find the true self, and then you can show other people how to do it. Because this is the reason that society is such a mess, right? Because everybody is trying to fill these voids, right? Like, oh, I can't, you know, I don't like myself, or I'm unhappy, or I don't feel connected to the world. I'm going to fill it with drinking, or I'm going to fill it with drugs, or I'm going to fill it with like this, you know, cheating on my wife, or you know, buying stuff, or whatever, you know, gambling, whatever it is, because a lot of people are very unhappy. You know, not saying that spiritual people are because I've met a lot of spiritual people that are deeply, deeply unhappy within themselves. But a lot of them get it. You know, a lot of them have ascended to this place where they're like, okay, so like maybe, you know, I don't have everything that I want, but there's a peace that you get with the spiritual journey. Once you get to the proper place, there's a peace that comes from within, where you are fully at peace with yourself, that, you know, nothing can ever replace it. Once you have it, nothing can ever replace it, and then you can see, right? And that's the whole point, and then you show other people. So yeah, that's kind of the whole reason that you're currently in the chrysalis, because spirit is keeping you single, or they're keeping you alone for a reason. They want you to see something. They want you to learn a certain lesson. Maybe they want you to learn confidence, so that you're not in toxic relationships, because you can't shine when you're in a toxic relationship. How are you gonna teach other people where they need to be when you're in the wrong place? You know, yeah, and it's, you know, it's generally because you're an older soul, really, kind of the shaman's journey. But you're not going to be alone forever. You know, you're just going to be alone for a little period of time while you're kind of getting into this space. And the more that you can just kind of accept it, the happier you'll be. Because essentially what's happened is, if you think of it like a curve like that, right? So you started off here when you were the caterpillar, and now you're kind of here, right? And you want to get here, but you need to raise your vibration high enough kind of permanently to do that, right? To get into alignment with this new life that spirit wants to give you. But in order to do that, you need to shed the shadow work, all the old crap that you're carrying, you know? Like, you know, you can't ascend if you're carrying lots of heavy crap from the past, you know? So yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to say. I hope it was helpful. That's kind of how to deal with being alone, really. And also, you know, you're never alone. You're really never alone. Like, once you start to kind of once you really start to acknowledge spirit in your life, I'm not saying you're going to start seeing ghosts or whatever, like, I'm not crazy, but once you really start to kind of accept that spirit is around you all the time, you know, like seeing the little numbers, like the synchronicity, seeing the feathers, like seeing these little symbols, you know, speaking to your guides, like having, you know, acknowledging your intuition, you know, you realize that you're really never alone. Like, you have like this nosy kind of family of like angels and guides and your true self and all this stuff just literally right next to you. Yeah, So I hope that was helpful. That's what I have to say about that. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for me if you feel like doing that. I appreciate it a lot. And many blessings, love and light as always.